Drawing cat ears tend to be a little bit easier than drawing dog ears, but they're really similar. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the basics, the key components to drawing cat ears. Now this is all done in colored pencil. So if you have a basic set of colored pencils, you can easily practice this at home. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now you want to start out with a pink sort of layer. I notice a lot of cat ears have like a pinkish base layer, so you can use lighter pinks or darker pinks based off of the cat's ear, what it looks like. So that's what we're doing here, and then you just build it up using different kind of colors, and you can use a little bit of gray to start to add in the detail. Now you want to leave room for the white parts of the hair that comes out as much as possible. So you can achieve this by using a mixture of different colors and making sure you're using long strokes. Just like in this example here, I'm using longer strokes to create that, and then using a little bit of a warmer tone on top of that, using some sort of brown. Now this doesn't always apply to every cat, but most cat ears do have brown in the ears. And then once you've done that and you've built up all those layers, you can see now there's still a gap happening. So apply the same method to the other ear and make sure you are leaving a little bit of a gap for each one of those. And basically what you do is you create a long line from one side and then a long line from the other side, and it all comes together in the middle, and you leave room in the middle. Since that was a smaller cat portrait, here's an example of a larger cat ear. So I used a peach color base and then starting to apply that same texture with the same technique from the outside, going in, letting it sparse out towards the middle, and then doing it on the other side as well. And you just build up those layers. You can also use a little bit of a burnishing method using a little bit of that pink, that very pale pinkish color. And what that does is it kind of warms it up a little bit more while also blending everything together. So burnishing is a method of blending, creating a waxy coating on top of what you've already drawn. So you just keep repeating the same steps over and over and over until you have a lot of layers built, and then you're pretty much good to go. You want to use maybe a little bit of black towards the end, and then same burnishing method, but I'm using a little bit of a cool tone mixed in with it. When you have a mix of cool tones and warm tones together, it just turns out absolutely gorgeous. It makes it look more realistic because every single animal, human being has a mixture of warm and cool tones in their coloring. Now on a white cat, this is similar but a little bit different method. So a pink base, almost always a pink base. Then I'm using longer strokes. This is a long fluffy cat. Longer strokes, but I'm also using more of a little bit of a warm gray, but then I'll use cool grays more so than anything else for this portrait here. Definitely a lot of grays being mixed in. So there's a little bit of an outline at all around the edge of the ear too. So I'm using just a very light pressure to do that. And then using cool tones to blend everything together, because if you use a warm tone, it's not going to match the rest of the portrait. So you want to make sure you're using a little bit more cool tones on top of some of those warm tones for this kind of white fur that's happening. You just want to keep building up those layers over and over. And this tends to be, white cats tend to have a little bit less detail in the hair or in the ears. Now on to a black cat. So this black cat is a smaller portrait, so it's a little bit easier to do. And I just drew a fluffy base and then used a little bit of a warmer tone first. And then I used pink right in the middle. It's a little bit harder to see the details in the reference image, especially with black cats. So you kind of had to I had to come up with quite a lot of details from my imagination. But if you can't see the details, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a lot more of the black overall, but there is a lot of color underneath all that black. And you want to make sure that you're adding that depth by creating the inner part of the ear as much as possible. So you can use a warm, deeper, rich pink that's almost a red for your first layer. And then build it up using a little bit of this orange warmer tone. Now still try to leave room for the highlights, the details of the little parts of the ear on the inside. And then, start to use darker browns, darker warm tone grays all around it. But then still, like right in the center, you just want both sides to just come in, make them look like loose little bits of fur coming in. And then what you can do after that is burnish it up a little bit, kind of blend it in using a lighter color, of course. And there's like little bits of hair that kind of sticks up out of the ear too, for I would say most animal portraits, most cat portraits especially. So make sure that you're drawing that too. Now with an orange cat, it's still the same thing. Start with a pink base. And this is more like usually cats have a pretty solid pink base, but I'm still using a lighter pink for this one. Make sure that the inside part is still white as much as possible. And then you can use some sort of like light gray. This is almost like a purpley gray. It goes really well with the pink here. And start to draw more details, build it all up that way. And once you have quite a lot of details, you can start to darken it using more darker, warmer tones. You can use like a dark sepia, just very lightly with the dark sepia though. And then to burnish, you can use either light pink or light blue. I used a little bit of both for that. And you just keep building up your layers and make sure that your, the outline of it is sharp and not really, too fuzzy or unfinished looking. Now, if you feel like you need to add more detail, you can use an electric eraser and apply that to some of the areas too. So that is basically it. Just make sure you're building up more layers and burnishing some of those areas. So I hope that this video was helpful. I know there's all sorts of different types of cats out there and the ears are all a little bit different, but the gist of it is your base layer is going to be pink most of the time. And then you build up your layers, but make sure you're leaving room for the details of the little white hairs that are inside the ear as much as possible. And then you can just build up your layers, starting to use darker colors and heavier pressure over time. And of course, make sure you're drawing in the same direction as the fur that you see in the reference image. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post my next video. And if you are interested in learning to draw, but you don't really want to take it too far, you just want to have fun, I have a Patreon where you can sign up for $11 a month. There's a new class every single month. There's gonna be, right now there is a bumblebee, there's a hummingbird, and a skink. They're just in 4x4-inch size, so it's about a couple hours long or less. And it's just a lot of fun. I've had a lot of my students say that they absolutely enjoy it. It's very relaxing. They love the background music and can easily follow along. Because I have in the bottom left-hand corner, I have what color pencil I'm using, and I tell you what alternative colors you can use instead of the color pencil that I have if you don't have that yourself. So it's super easy to follow along. I work really hard on those videos, so if you are interested, please check out the link down below in the description. But if you want to actually learn to draw your own pet or draw pet portraits, I have an 8-week program where you can learn to draw different textured fur, different colored fur, different animal features, and follow along all of those, as well as by towards the end you will get to follow along a full dog pet portrait tutorial that is a couple of hours long, and it's all very in-depth, very descriptive, very easy to follow along because I provide you what colors I use, what colors alternative colors you can use, and each step has the description for each color pencil for every single step. So it's very easy to follow along. And then by the end, the very last week, you will have the confidence to be able to draw your own pet with my guidance. So if you're interested in something like that, go ahead and check out the link below and get yourself signed up for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.